Hi there viewers, it's the news hour on Equinoxe television in the English language. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm Majestaris right away. Insecurity, sporadic attacks and killings in the northwest and southwest regions are far from being over. The population of Kumba and the Mehmet division are now panic-stricken after at least 4 persons were killed in a shootout at the Kusala quarters in Kumba. The shootings there began since early Monday morning. Our reporters are on the ground and we will be telling you more in this news edition. And we will be taking you to Bamenda, where the people, despite all odds, they braved them to register for next year's elections. Plus, close to 200 persons have died following floods caused by heavy rains in most parts of Kenya. The Kenyan president has called for an emergency meeting with all stakeholders. Viewers, those are our major stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin with insecurity in the northwest and southwest regions. We take you to Kumba. Another life goes down in the Anglophone crisis. The spilling of blood continues in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. 1 person was gunned down and others injured seriously in a shooting last night in Kumba in the southwest region. Babila Jonathan now tells us what happened in Kumba and how many persons were actually killed.
It was about 11 p.m. Monday when the gunmen stormed Kosala in the Kumba 2 subdivision in the crisis-hit southwest region of Cameroon. Her husband was the first victim.
Up to 15 minutes.
She told ETV's Zaibui that the armed men called her husband out of the house and shot him few meters away from their residence. Baijak died about 15 minutes after he was brought to the Kumba Regional Hospital next. The shooting of Baijak was followed by indiscriminate shooting by the armed men.
They shoot another gun, they go maroon.
3 other persons were injured. Because of the severity of the injuries, they have been transferred from Kumba to the Boya Regional Hospital for intensive medical care.
1 person died and 3 others are injured severely, and hopefully they recover soonest. Over 50 commercial motorbikes and other items wrongly positioned at the Bona Musadi main market here in Duala have been seized by the divisional officer of the Duala 5 subdivision. The seizure came under an operation dubbed Duala Clean, which is aimed at decongesting the main roads around the market. The operation was supervised by Dr. Asongwe Kletus, divisional officer of the Duala 5 subdivision. Samantha King Gabriel tells us more. We come back to this report by Smart Njikan Gabriel. He tells us that over some shops were demolished at the Bona Musadi market, where we will be coming to that either in the course of this newscast or in our subsequent news editions. In other news, elements of the Cameroon Navy are currently investigating some individuals who were intercepted with more than 30 bags of illicit pharmaceutical products and hard drugs. The operation carried out at the banks of the Vuri River was coordinated by the commander of the Duala Naval Base, Jean-Michel Fregu. According to the security officers, the drugs will be examined by health experts before destruction. Details with Mala Glory.
Over 30 bags containing cartons of illicit pharmaceutical products were intercepted by elements of the Cameroon Navy. The operation was coordinated by the captain, who doubles as a medical doctor, Okopetis Edingele. He is the coordinator in charge of the fight against fake drugs and the traffic of illicit pharmaceutical products.
We have about 7,000 of boxes of many drugs, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs, and there are many who are still open.
The operation that took place at the banks of River Wuri was supervised by the commander of the Duala Naval Base, Jean-Michel Fegu. According to the elements of the Cameroon Navy, it was thanks to the assaults that they were able to lay hands on the drugs.
La base navale de Duala a mis dans le cadre de ses missions régaliennes des patrouilles, parce qu'elle lutte également, au-delà des faux médicaments, mais contre tout type de trafic. Donc c'est à ce titre, sur renseignement, effectivement, nos patrouilles ont été déployées. Et une fois que nos patrouilles ont été déployées, après avoir tendu une embuscade qui a pris un certain temps, nous avons pu, c'était au large des côtes, nous avons effectivement pu mettre la main sur cette cargaison.
The illicit drugs will be taken to a health expert for an evaluation in terms of quality and quantity.
The technical the public X will take this shot for the destruction.
The security forces say the action by the Navy is an example for other sectors to copy in order to completely eradicate illicit activities in the country.
Let's now come back to this report by Smandikan Gabriel. Over 50 commercial motorcycles or motorbikes and other items which were wrongly positioned at the Bonamusadi main market have been seized by the divisional officer of the Duala 5 subdivision. The seizure came under an operation dubbed Duala Clean, which is aimed at decongesting the main road around the market. The operation was supervised by Dr. Asongwe Kletus, the divisional officer for Duala 5. Smandikan Gabriel was there.
Of commercial motorcycle parked wrongly run for their dear life as a team of the divisional officer for an operation Duala Clean arrived the Bonamusa, the main market. If some were swift, others who couldn't escape saw their motorcycles impounded. Apart from commercial motorcycle, trucks wrongly parked, goods and other items were seized by the divisional officer of Duala 5 subdivision. It was for a purpose that the operation was carried out.
It's aimed at instilling sanity on our major highways and in the market. We have realized that business persons have invaded the streets. They sell food items even on the bare ground and all the rest, with all the illnesses that can attract. Parking their bikes right on the road so that the traffic is obstructed. As a result of the operation, more than 50 commercial motorcycles were seized. Trucks containing items to be sold were taken away. Those things that are being seized, there are council deliberations for taking care of that. We will hand them over to the council empowerment authorities so that they go and pay the fines that are previewed by the council deliberations. That's all. If the team of the divisional officer went through tough times at some ends of the Bonamusadi main market, at other ends, the business operators had respected the orders placed by the divisional officer for them not to place goods on a passage. When I engage in something, I take it to the end. Yesterday, I was here to sensitize in the morning, and in the evening, I was here in the market. They know it. So as I've started, I'll be here permanently. We are in Bonamusadi market. The next market will be the Marché de Cité de Palmier. So those ones should already know that we are coming for them and take measure. All the items seized as a result of the operation were taken to the 4th District Police Station in Bonamusadi while waiting on council's deliberations.
We stay with you, Smart. You tell us that several business persons at the Bonamusadi market in the Duala 5 area have expressed disappointment at the outing of Dr. Asongwe Kletus, the divisional officer for the Duala 5. They say that his move was so exaggerated and will send some people to become robbers and do other negative things. You tell us more, Smart, and the report comes up next. Well, we move over to something else. We now talk politics with, for me, Armstrong Sander. The national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto, has called for the resignation of the director of the elections governing body in Cameroon, Elecam Elections Cameroon. In an open letter, Professor Kamto says Elecam is openly opposed to the registration process, and so they are thereby involved somehow in as active agents in pre-electoral fraud. Let's now have more with For Me, Armstrong Sander.
Long later published on social networks, the political leader and president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, the CRM, accused election Cameroon officials of preparing massive fraud to the benefit of the current regime in Cameroon. In a statement on social media on Monday, Maurice Kamto categorically stated that the Director General of Election Cameroon, Mr. Eric Esose, is on a hired mission against the people of Cameroon. Maurice Kamto solemnly appeals for his resignation or dismissal from that position at the LECAM in order to preserve peace and tranquility in Cameroon. Maurice Kamto says, like Eric Esose, some LECAM agents and some West regional police officials were caught involved in criminal networks organizing pre-electoral frauds in Masangam in the West region, clandestinely issuing national identity cards and registering voters on LECAM's electoral register. Such crimes cannot go unpunished. Not only must those involved be brought to justice immediately, but they must also be severely punished in accordance with the law in Cameroon, he insists. Citing the initial delay in the publication of updates on voters' registration as per the law, the current delay to begin voters' registration abroad, and the ban on voters' registrations in Cameroon on Saturdays and Sundays, Professor Maurice Kamto says the proofs are much and examples abound that election Cameroon is partial. Let all those who doubted the partiality of LECAM or who pretended not to see note that this institution and its current leaders are working to stop democracy in Cameroon, he stated. Apart from political actors, appeals for massive voter registration have also been coming from musical artists in Cameroon, notably Ben Deka, Malox, Sejo Polo, Anyanzwa, Lady Pons, and several others.
And now let's take this obituary. The former Minister of Basic Education, Haman Adama, is no more. She died in Yaoundé, Sakwas, yesterday following a protracted illness. The 74-year-old was at the helm of the Ministry of Basic Education from 2004 to 2009. Haman Adama was dismissed from her post after she was accused of embezzling public funds. Who is Haman Adama, and what active role did she play in the development of the educational system of Cameroon? Lucy Liengu Esie tells us more in this report.
Born in the year 1950 in Marwa in the far north region, Haman Adama, former Minister of Basic Education, quits the stage at the age of 74.
Donc je crois que je ne suis pas en apprentissage pour dire que je viens, mais comment je peux m'impliquer avec presque tout le monde, je connais tout le monde.
Haman Adama was trained at the National School of Administration and Magistracy in Nam before joining the government as Secretary of State for National Education on March 18, 2000. She was then appointed as Minister of Basic Education from August 8, 2004 to June 30, 2009. After accusations of embezzlement, she was arrested on January 6, 2010. Before then, she was dismissed from her post as Minister of Basic Education on June 30, 2009 and replaced by Yusuf Ajida Alim. The educationist was accused of embezzling state funds worth 1 billion francs CFA, in line with a provision of the law governing the Special Criminal Court, which permits accused individuals to reimburse. Haman Adama paid 212 million to the state to gain her freedom. The venerated educationist played a key role in the educational system of Cameroon, mainly the construction of several classrooms across the country, the massive distribution of free school kits, also the amelioration of teachers' working conditions, and the introduction of the mother tongue into the school curriculum. Her achievements caught the attention of many. Haman Adama was a member of the ruling CPDM political party.
And now we take news out of Cameroon. The death toll continues to rise In Kenya, rescuers as well continue their search following the devastating floods that hit some parts of Kenya. Over to Gabon, a number of resolutions have been taken at the end of the major national dialogue that has ended over the transitional president. Meantime, Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi paid a working visit to the French President Emmanuel Macron in France. Let's now have more with Immaculate Fogwe.
Rescuers continue searching for people reported to have gotten missing amid devastating floods that hit Kenya. Kenya's President William Ruto has called for a special cabinet meeting to discuss the ongoing flooding crisis in the country. About 169 people have been killed since the month of March in devastating floods. More than 185,000 Kenyans have been forced out of their homes. The number includes the 45 people who died early Monday. Meantime, Gabon's month-long national dialogue intended to lay down the groundwork of restoring civilian rule has ended with a good number of resolutions taken. The delegates proposed a strong presidential regime and 7-year term for the newly elected president. The delegates equally decide to add a year to the 2-year transition period in case of what they qualify as force majeure scenario. They equally advocated for better funding of the health sector, prioritizing local production by supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. The report is expected to be handed over to the president of the transition on April 30th. In other news, Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi paid a visit to French President Emmanuel Macron. The 2-day visit has its mission to foster business partnerships between both nations. During the visit, President Emmanuel Macron pledged a sum of 34 million euros as aid to Congo's conflict-hit East region while promising to punish any of the party that violates human rights.
And that does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Let's now move over to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Tonight we will be coming back to the outing of some public figures on course for massive registration. Edis Kabanwala and Maximilien Ngombe, both of them opinion leaders, think all crises in Cameroon should be resolved first before any election can take place in the country. Their outings have been considered as a distraction by many. And our guest tonight again is Emmanuel Ndeum. Emmanuel, thank you so much for being our guest on Talking Point tonight. Other opinions are thinking that these personalities I mentioned above, who are trying to pull away attention of Cameroonians from registering, have a hidden agenda, or they might have been bought over. What do you think? Are you of that same opinion?
We got an information yesterday because we were supposed to be at Bonamusadi for the registration exercise. At one point in time, we were told that Elekam and we got a piece of news, or it's not a kind of communique, by the Elekam boss that Saturdays and Sundays, Elekam will not be permitted to go down to the field again. Even though after some findings, because it's always good to treat information from both sides, after some findings, we equally got information in the night that his lordship, Samuel Kleda, is the one who made it clear that registrations around the church vicinities should be stopped. Of course, confronting these two informations gave us an idea that maybe Elekam would have spoken with the church hierarchy without getting back to us, because we love their standard. But then, in the days ahead, we are going to find out, because we have not yet gotten to Elekam. However, in some areas like in Bonamusadi, in Bonaberi, yesterday, Elekam was on the field at Hotel Bellaville. They registered some people. We are encouraging Elekam to do more and more. Even if it means taking extra time to carry out this exercise, they should do it. Because this is a critical moment in the life of Cameroonians. And I want to think every election in Cameroon used to be a just go-free affair. But this time around, it is business, not business as usual. Because this is one of the elections in Cameroon, I can tell you in advance, a revolutionary election that nobody will joke with it. And I'm calling on all the youth, if you don't have a voter's card You don't have a right to attend any meeting officially now. Those who go to beer parlors every day to obtain beer from friends, before you offer a bottle of beer to a friend, let the friend present a voter's card before it is done. Because in all sincerity, if you go into our archives, the last time Mr. Biya never won election in Cameroon was in 1999. Since then, he has been winning all elections. If elections of 1992, if election of 1992 was massacred by those who own the power in the nation, who could do everything to turn the tables around, after then, it is true that it discouraged Cameroonians. But after then, what have Cameroonians been doing? They have been living in slogans that no, if we vote, our vote do not count. Look, we are not telling people to register and vote only for the president. A tree falls when the roots are cut off. We are equally telling Cameroonians and youths, it is time for you people to hold the trees, to start cutting the trees from the roots. Those roots are your constituencies. Because we have seen people who call themselves so-called opposition parties, politicians in Cameroon, who do not own an office. You see one person who is the president of the party, the secretary general of the party, the treasurer of the party, minister of the party, who talks about Ole Etudi, who does not talk about councillor. At this time, I want to be informing Cameroonians and educating them that the highest and the most important post to start from in Cameroon is that place of the councillors. You know what it means for a councillor. Without a councillor, the regional representatives, the mayors, we all know of this. So let's start. We have to gather momentum right from the grassroots before we start. We can even abandon Etudi to Mr. Biya and start from where we'll have to shape the laws of the nation. Because it starts from the constituency right to the Senate. And from these structures, we can shape the country. The country is in a terrible shape. We see a government that has failed. I mean, a few people who have taken Cameroon hostage for a very long time. Whereas in the country, my rough calculation gives me an idea that we are above 30 million since results of the last census has never been declared to Cameroonians. What is stopping 30 million people from taking back to them what rightfully belongs to them and giving a right to a few persons, a few friends of the head of state to take the country hostage for this time? Remember, if you don't vote, the few people who will vote, the CBDM family friends, the CBDM relatives, CBDM government officials, they will come out and lord over you, and you will start crying for the next 7 years. We need to change the narrative.
Now, Mr. Emmanuel Ntimum, you are a civil society actor and your voice counts. Do you think, these people might actually have the interest of the people at heart? Let's look at it the other way around, especially the Anglophones, because they insist that the Anglophone crisis should be resolved before any election can be carried out properly in Cameroon. They can also have the interest of the people at heart. Don't you think so?
Everybody has a right to his or her opinion. But your opinion should not be the right of others. Or should not impose your opinion on other people as a right to them. That said, there has been war in Northwest and Southwest declared by the state for 80 years. Elections have been going on. School has been timidly going on in Northwest and Southwest. Elections, like you said, few military men, few CBDA men, as it has always been alleged, that they're the ones who carry out the elections, declare the results in Northwest and Southwest. Good and fine. Should we stop because the war is still going on? Because voting out the regime that declared the war is part of fighting or part of looking for an end to the war. Because to whosoever cares to hear, take this from me tonight. Give Mr. Biya another 100 mandates and his cohorts. He will not solve the Anglophone crisis. The Anglophone crisis is is bigger than Mr. Biya and all his government put together. Because the Anglophone crisis is a spirit. It's no longer a physical issue. They might be looking at it from the physical point of view, but it long went past the physical point of view. So, the regime in place is obsolete. Their machines are obsolete. In fact, we have just a group of people whom, as of now, they are interested in making fabulous gains. One thing I will remind you, at first, when the war was really at its peak, the men in uniform used to be afraid of being going to Northwest. But today, do you know that people are negotiating their way to go to Northwest? Do you know why? The reason is very simple. It's an area where free extortion is allowed. Judgment is not done. For that reason, if Cameroonians assume that Northwest and Southwest, they will steal their votes there. The few that will vote will do the voting. What if the other 8 regions of the country effectively register, effectively vote, effectively participate in the counting of their votes, and effectively... It's a warning. All these worries you are asking, that who will vote, who will do this, who will do the counting, we know. But things will not be the same in 2025. And to think that even Jesus Christ cannot build the system in place, the Israelites stayed in Egypt for so long. But there came a day that they had to leave Egypt. And God showed them the way. The way is now. And the people are the way. We don't have a constitution of Cameroon as we speak. Because the constitution that we have as of now is the constitution for the regime, not a constitution for the people. People should know this and know it well. This is a time for us to fight through the ballot box and write the people's constitution, not the CPDM's constitution.
And now, Emmanuel, before we go, determined Cameroonians who are still optimistic are insisting that Cameroonians should not be distracted. They should remain focused. What can you tell Cameroonians in the face of such confusion?
Appeal first to a mother, Madame Kabang Wala, that she should join the train. She's a politician, she's an intelligent woman, and she has always fought for change. It is not when the change is about to happen that she should tell Cameroonians to abandon the train for change. And many others and so-called politicians who think that they should go to the street, change the electoral code first before they come back and vote. I have not seen any situation in Cameroon where going out to the street have solved a situation. You can vividly recall the uprising in 2008. Those who died in 2008 are not here today to discuss what we are discussing. It is better to live while fighting wisely than to die fighting foolishly, because your corpse will not come back to fight. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Emmanuel for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe comes up in about 30 minutes, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.